Hello, bonjour, welcome. Bienvenue tout le monde à un épisode bilingue de One Man's Tracks. S'il vous plaît, m'excuse pour mon français un peu rusty. Je ne peux pas, je sais pas. Aujourd'hui, nous avons le plaisir d'avoir deux langues représentées dans une pièce d'art. Un artiste premièrement française. Ceci c'est le quatrième album, mais le premier bilingue de Coeur de pirate. Ceci c'est Rose. This is Roses by Coeur de pirate. Out of Canada, released in 2015 through Dare to Care Records. Her music can take a meaning beyond just the lyrics that she delivers. And seeing as her audience, maybe the lion's share of her audience, is probably not a French-speaking audience, they won't be able to understand about half of this without Google Translate. Even as a French immersion student myself, I do require a bit of lyrical help here and there when it comes to music in different languages. But thankfully, it's printed out right here for us, so I can read along, and it's enough to fill me in on the few things where I don't quite understand here and there. Just gotta quickly show you the CD here because it's pretty. But I'll put that up here and I'm gonna break it down for you. Sorry about not having any more French because I was pushing my limits at the start of this video to begin with. So let's just keep it in English from now on. I'm sorry every one of my French teachers from whenever if you ever see this, but that's about all I got for now. I'm glad I got a chance to practice at least a little bit. Kicking off the album with a somewhat somber intro that builds up into a pretty euphoric chorus. This song's called Carry On, and it's actually performed in both French and in English, the French version being at the back end of the album. The epic chorus has somewhat of a conflicting feeling, with the bridge building up to it saying, "Don't let me fall, don't let me fall," but the chorus saying, "Carry on, I'll be okay." It leaves me a little uncertain as to where Coeur de pirate sits on maybe the translation of this one. The entire album sort of has a feeling of being an on-again, off-again relationship, maybe a bunch of different relationships being revisited to explain, digest, and express the feelings they might have been feeling at the times of these relationships. There's always an underlying theme of sort of uncertainty or maybe looking back on a past decision whether or not it was the right one. Either way, back to the first track, I think the French version of this song does have a little bit more punch to it, a little bit more power, but arguably you could say that about all of the French songs on this album, because it's just the language that Coeur de pirate is used to writing in, and I believe building a really good song takes a vision from the get-go, and having to take your mind into a different place and having to write in a different language can take away from that overall vision and maybe force you to borrow some ideas here and there. The influence has become quite noticeable in a few of the English tracks here. Here comes the rain. Hopefully it's not too intrusive, but I'm going to just keep going. My main question for Beatrice would be whether she wrote this song in English or French first. So the first half of this album, every other song is performed in French still. So we do get that powerful Coeur de pirate spirit that weaves its way through the narrative of this one. Come on, Booty. Come on. Good girl. Shh. My little harem of dogs here. Probably can't see it. I'm not going to move the camera because I won't be able to get it back to where I want it. Yeah. Upon the first listen to this album, I was a little taken aback by the change in language back and forth, but after a couple listens, the common themes and common genres that play throughout the whole thing really do flow together quite seamlessly, and can certainly be enjoyed regardless of whether you paid attention in French class. The first of the French tracks, titled Clito Ba, is a sad, slow art pop song that builds up to another one of these euphoric choruses with some epic string sections complementing the whole thing as it guides us way through this intense, sad journey that feels like I'm crying in a rainstorm on the ground, just smashing my fist on the ground. An appropriate track to be reviewing in a rainstorm. Lyrically, it becomes pretty evident that she prefers to write in French because the words seem to flow out of her a little bit more poetically, a bit more smoothly, and I think I think the lyrics end up complementing the music rather than the music complementing the lyrics. Got some good drips going now. Drip patrol! Wow, that's not even facing the right way anymore. Fabulous. The dogs are in control of the show now. Oh man. We're gonna carry on now, through the drips and through it all. Back to English with the track I Don't Want to Break Your Heart featuring Alan Kingdom. This track is a synth poppy, kind of a lower energy version of Lights' Second Go, with a simple pop structure, catchy chorus, a little rap feature that I don't think adds too much to the track. But I think this track just tries a little bit too hard for commercial success, I guess. It all feels a little bit too cut and paste pop and just stands out as a bit generic amidst the rest of the tracks. Back to French with what might be my favorite track on the album, Drapeau Blanc. There's something about the simplicity of the structure of the song, but the complexity of the lyrics that are packed into this one. It lends itself to a beautifully balanced song, but at the same time leaving me feel a little emotionally unsure. Sort of to say the combination of the writing and the music playing a push and a pull on my heartstrings and my logic strings, I guess. This track does an excellent job encompassing all that emotional turmoil, but then breaks it open, bursting forward with a drum-back euphoric chorus that just demands a repetition or three. Back to English with a more simple pop flavor on the track Undone. It's not unlike the opener Carry On, with those ever-prevalent themes of reflection on old relationships. It continues to saturate this album with that ever-prevalent feeling of insecurity, even though this is one of the more upbeat and uplifting songs on the album. With a lyrical theme of a unbreakable relationship, it feels more like a familial relationship than anything else. Maybe I'm feeling insecure from the multiple listens of this album and the dissection of the lyrics, but that really is one of the last breaths of air before you get doused by a wave of sorrow again. Ocean's Brawl has this slow, melodic intro that excellently sets the tone on this Lana Adele-inspired epic. The complex instrumentation provides an atmosphere that pulls you through slowly, like you're being dragged through some deep water, and continues relentlessly all the way until you just finally break through and you get that water washing over you on the shoreline. The threads and the themes of Adele roll on through into this next track. Our Love is a track that's a little bit too short and a lot too syncopated for me to really have anything stick to me and for it to leave any kind of lasting impression. So moving right along to the track Castaway, which is a song that I think talks about trying to build someone up who's basically beyond repair. With another heartbreaking chorus that builds and roars triumphantly, filling in the space of the verses that is kind of empty and open with these big, great string sections again. It kind of almost feels like a trope of Clito Ba at this point, to build up to this great chorus that you grow to expect, and for the first few times it's pretty novel, like getting in an airplane for the first time and taking off, but after the 20th or 30th or so time, it does lose its novelty, as cool as it is. Sticking to the themes of complicated love with one more French track before the closer, Tu oublieras mon nom. This is another piano and strings backed ballad-esque kind of pops tune that crescendos really nicely with a subtle beat switch that feels both passionate and decisive. Finally, The Way Back Home is another triumphant track, but this time the vocals take the forefront and the strings and the pianos are more subtle and subdued, leaving you a little bit of space to breathe at the end of this emotional roller coaster of an album. It's the kind of closer that soothes you but keeps you looking forward for what's next to come. And if you are interested in what's next to come, there are some bonus tracks on this one, as any good CD should have. The first of which being a French version of the opening track, Carry On, and it's titled Oublie-moi. I think it's a little bit better, but frankly, I think all of her French music is a little bit better. Overall, certainly an album that goes beyond just the novelty of being a bilingual album. It is a bit of a struggle to not compare her English songs to some of those of her contemporaries, but similarities aside, Coeur de Pirate tries her best to put her own twist on all these tracks in various different ways, and the themes and sounds do remain relatively consistent throughout. She certainly has her own little unique pop sound that will keep me looking out for some of her past work. If you manage to sit through the video, through the rainstorm, through the dogs throwing the video around, and back to the point where it's probably overexposed, thank you so much. Please like my video, maybe consider subscribing. I'll be back with some more content real soon. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.
Ouais, ouais, c'est très bon ça.